This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Great job by the coach, James Young. We've got more college basketball talk coming up. Big man on campus will step up and join us in a couple of moments' time. I want to go back over some of these exact final props because that's where some good money is, and some we haven't gotten to yet tonight. But don't worry, we will. There's a reason why I'm wearing a Los Angeles Dodger jersey tonight. The Dodgers play in. What time is it right now? The Dodgers play in
7 hours.
4 and 3. 7 hours time. Yes, sir, Cam. 7 hours time. The Major League Baseball season begins. 6:05 first pitch, East Coast time. 3:05 Pacific. We'll go over all the props and numbers. For the record, Ohtani is plus 240 to hit a home run. Yu Darvish. You know what's crazy? Yu Darvish and Ohtani actually are good friends. They're buddies. They've never faced off against each other once before. Yu Darvish has never pitched against Ohtani before. And one thing with Darvish is a stud, but Darvish does give up home runs. It's the one thing that like a lot of pitchers in the modern era. But Darvish, that's Darvish's thing. He'll strike out 8. He'll give up 2 or 3 solo shots along the way. Will Ohtani be the guy? We'll get into this later. I've got some best bets for this game. But Freddie Freeman is the one on the Dodgers that actually lights up Darvish the most. He's 9 for 31. He's got a couple of home runs. And don't forget, too, if you want to get that prop in, if you like my bet, Freddie Freeman to have the most doubles in Major League Baseball. Got to get that in before tonight. That won't be up after. Freddie Freeman will be off the board after tonight for that. 2-1 for the Edmonton Oilers right now. Over to Montreal Canadiens, 16 minutes remaining. The Vancouver Canucks have a 1-0 lead after 20 minutes over the Buffalo Sabres. The Blackhawks and Kings are tied in Los Angeles at 1 after 20 minutes of play. And the Minnesota Wild have taken a 2-0 lead on the Ducks with 17 minutes left in the second period. Looking at these totals right now, Tampa Bay are up 2-1 early in the second period on Vegas. Who do you have in this game, Cam?
I actually took Tampa Bay, Gabe. I think they're in a good spot tonight. They're really hot. They won 3 in a row. Vasilevsky's playing better. And, I'm on the Lightning tonight. I'm actually going to take the Sabres plus 2.5 live against Vancouver, minus 150. It's a lot of juice, but I like the 2.5.
Oh, wow. I'm seeing plus 1.5 plus 1.5, plus 115.
Yeah, I'm on FanDuel Ontario. It says plus 2.5, minus 150. These guys got crazy hockey lines. I don't even know where they come from, but I'm into 2.5, not 1.5.
Yeah,
2.5.
That's a good price at minus 150. It's not bad because I'm seeing minus 180 at others right now. But FanDuel does have very favorable. They have good hockey lines. If you're a hockey bettor, you really should be betting at FanDuel. It's like the best sport that FanDuel has to bet on, actually. It's the one where they have different type of numbers. So it's 49-31.
Good for
golf too, yeah. They have a lot of props. They do have a lot. You know why they're good for golf? They're the official sponsor of the PGA.
Yeah,
they're the official sports book.
I think Jordan Spieth did some stuff for FanDuel, did a commercial for them and stuff. But I found a guy on a couple other sites at 80. It was 110 on FanDuel. So if you like hockey and golf, you got to have money in your FanDuel account for sure. Well said.
49-31 Colorado State, in-game total 109.5 right now. Good. Virginia are up to 31. Colorado State obviously up to 49. So I was talking about the exact name. You could do the name the finalists, but listen, Coach James Young likes it. We're not really thinking too far outside the box here with this, but UConn to beat Houston in the championship game is plus 1,600. So 16-1. UConn to beat Purdue is plus 1,800. Houston to beat UConn is 25-1. Purdue to beat Connecticut is 30-1. UConn to beat Tennessee. That's actually my final. That's my final four matchup. The Houston Cougars versus the Tennessee Volunteers. So I should take both of those then.
Yes.
If you guys, you know what I mean? If you guys like my final four. I like UConn to be in the championship game, and I've got Houston and Tennessee playing to get to the championship game, and I like UConn to win no matter who they play. So UConn to beat Houston plus 1,600, UConn to beat Tennessee, Cam, plus 3,500, 35-1. If listen, it's a long shot that's going to hit, but it could hit. 1 seed versus a 2 seed. Very possible.
I got to tell you, Morency, and you said too, like, don't do the one or whatever. You do both with, one of the underdogs winning and your other team. You got 2 things there, and you're just sitting pretty if it does happen. I actually believe that those numbers, they're fantastic. Like, UConn and Houston, that's a very, very probable final. I know it's March Madness and things change, but I think that number's pretty good at 16-1. Very good.
Yeah, but that's the exact result too. So you need to win. So UConn needs to beat Houston at 16-1. But if you do this, obviously you put yourself in a nice hedge situation as well, because you already have UConn at plus 1,600 as opposed to the plus 400 that they are to win the national championship. That's sort of the angle if you're thinking outside the box, like, I don't know. I really didn't. I think that UConn are going to get there. You can listen, Iowa State are a dangerous team. I don't think they're going to win the national championship, but they're the ones. Maybe they could pull off an upset along the way and beat UConn. Some of the wilder ones here, like Purdue to beat Baylor 80-1, Purdue to beat Illinois 80-1, Purdue to beat Alabama 80-1. There's a bunch of Houston ones. Houston to beat Bama 70-1, Purdue to beat Auburn 60-1. So at these numbers, though, guys, they're worth a stab. The longest shot, actually, Kansas to beat Illinois, 450-1. That surprises me. You know what, though? Like, I'm looking here.
If Kansas loses the first game.
Yeah, but I'm like, come on. Like, where's, like, Drake and Long Beach? They have to have longer shots. They didn't put them on the board, Cam. They're not included.
They don't do that. Only brand names.
They figured we're not wasting our time. Like, they were actually like, no. We're not making odds for Long Beach versus UConn.
I love it. At least
because I scrolled. I'm like, how can Kansas to beat Illinois is the biggest long shot? I'm like, it's not crazy. I mean, I don't know. It can't happen. I was just wondering, where are all these other loser teams in the mix? But they didn't put them on the board.
What's Houston to beat UConn again? Because then you do both. UConn to beat Houston. Right?
Houston to beat UConn is 25-1. Yeah, if you did that, you could take them both and then already win 16-1 and 25-1.
The futures and stuff. Yeah, you got to do both, and then you're sitting back going, "Okay, here we go." That's a great number.
Then you could bet the game. You'd already have won. You already have a plus 20, 25-1 and 16-1, both winners. Right. And then you can go, okay, now I bet the game, whoever I want to take.
It's a beautiful golf hedge, Morency. That's the way it is, man. You sit back and make money regardless who wins the game. I like that system.
That's how I'm approaching the Dodgers, too, because the Dodgers are such big favorites for everything. So I'm like, I'm just playing the Dodgers to win the World Series against the Rangers and against the Orioles and against I might do the Astros, too, but I kind of get the feeling. I wouldn't be shocked if the Rangers get back, actually.
The Dodgers total 8.5.
I'll play at Dodgers Blue Jays. I play it every year. It never hits.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance.
That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense, and to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Our March Madness breakdown continues. I'm looking here. I talked about this before the tournament. I said, I want to see what the odds are when it come out about the winning conference. Which conference is going to win the championship? Yet, as I look at this, I realize it's a bad bet, Cam, because I'm thinking, all right, like, I do like UConn to win a tournament, but I do believe that I think the Big 12 is the best conference. And if you take the Big 12, you're getting Houston, you're getting Baylor, you're getting Iowa State, right? Maybe Texas goes on a run, whatever. Like at least you're getting a bunch of good teams. But I'm thinking, what's the point of doing that for plus 260? We'll bring Big Man on this because if it's going to happen, it's not going to be Kansas. It's not going to be Texas. Like
Exactly.
if somebody from the Big 12 is going to do it, I think it's Houston could do it, but you're getting better value for Houston betting them on their own than this. And Iowa State is the only other one because Iowa State, they're a dangerous team, but I would rather just get Iowa State at their number than take the Big 12 at plus 260. Let's bring in Big Man on campus right now. And Big Man, I had to stop paying attention to this Colorado State and Virginia game that you've watched a lot of college basketball over the years. I've watched tens of thousands of games over the years, and this really is one of the worst performances in the history of basketball. An absolute abomination and an embarrassment that they're actually in the tournament here. Bad look for the committee and a bad look for the Virginia Cavaliers.
Well, I think the thought I have is, like, what did we really expect? I mean, this is a group that, this is what they are. This is a particularly bad offensive team this year. They don't have a Kyle Guy or a guy like that on this team. They don't have anything. They're hard to watch from an offensive standpoint. They play the slowest tempo in America. It's ugly. I can't say I watched much of it. I felt like it was a great underspot, and it looks like it's going to be.
I'm trying to get over 104.5 right now. We're sort of getting there. It's kind of it's kind of around the number. It's 108.5 right now. It's 55-35 with 5 minutes and 34 seconds left. So Colorado State are about to advance in the NCAA tournament. So a Big Man on campus in the house with us. Let's just jump into the actual games instead of looking at some of these props. And I'll ask you about the other. Every year There's always one of these first four teams that goes on a run after. So Colorado State looks good tonight. It obviously it's not going to be Wagner who won tonight, but who do you like tomorrow, big man, between Colorado State and Boise State?
Tough game. I like Boise a lot. I told you guys that. I kind of am irritated they're in a play-in game. I kind of feel like they did enough to kind of be in the tournament, not in a play-in game. That said, Colorado played really well coming into this tournament. The only loss was in that final against Oregon, who also played super well. Colorado's starting to, they just make shots. I mean, they're a really good offense, pretty solid defense, but I can't go against Boise. I just feel like defensively they're just a better team. I like Max Rice a lot. I lean Boise. I felt like they were a team that could do some damage and maybe give a game to I believe who next, Florida, I think it would be.
Well, I tell you what, the Mountain West really made a statement tonight with this Colorado State game, just smoking an ACC team right now. Now they have another Mountain West team in the play-in game here tomorrow against Colorado.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a tougher game. Obviously Colorado's not completely lost offensively like, Virginia is.
No.
I thought tonight,
nobody is.
Both games are really real lackluster. I thought, tomorrow's card was a little bit better, but this is kind of the calm before the storm. I'm kind of just ready to get to the games at this point. You talked about these games, you went through them. Now it's just time to play.
So Michigan and Michigan State are the first ones up, guys, on Thursday afternoon, 12:15 Eastern time, 9:15 Pacific time. Michigan State, Sparty are 1-point favorites, big man, against Mississippi State. Big Ten versus SEC. Total is 130.5. I've got Michigan State advancing and winning this game. Who do you like?
It's a tough one. Mississippi State obviously want to play really slow. They had some success this year slowing down, your Tennessees, your Kentuckys. Anytime Mississippi State plays, I always look at the opponent. Can they rebound the basketball? Mississippi State teams are always physical, very good on the glass. Michigan State does a pretty nice job at that. I thought this was a tough game. I'm weirdly kind of interested in Mississippi State, but I could understand, Izzo and March. I feel like they have the better guard play here. I kind of agree with you. This isn't a game that I wagered on, though.
I got to tell you, Cam, like I said earlier, too, big man, there's never been as many games, big man, in the first round of the tournament that are almost the point spreads are. Like, there are so many tricky games like this. This one, Dayton, Nevada. There's all kinds of the 10-7s where the 10s are favorites and stuff like that. Duquesne crashed the party. They get in. Their coach is riding off into the sunset, was LeBron James's high school coach. So LeBron's on the bandwagon. I kidded. He never went to college. Why can they sign him? Can he enroll and join the team for a couple of days, just eat a night or two and help him out? But they're getting 9.5 against BYU. The total is 142 in this game, big man.
Yeah, I thought this game was upset city possibly. I mean, you look at Duquesne, very blue-collar, defensive-minded group. It's funny. They have certain players that were on that St. Peter's team that made a run a couple of years ago. They kind of are the same type of team. Very long, lengthy, really good defensively, very handsy. They're going to turn you over. And they're a difficult team to shoot the ball against. They're a great three-point defense, which when you look at BYU, if the threes aren't going down, how do you score? This is a team that's very dependent. Second in America in points per game from the three-point line. If the threes aren't going down, again, big arena, slow start maybe. Look, Duquesne's not pretty on offense, but they're a damn good defensive team. It could get hard.
Good point, man, and Gabe, because those are the teams that they go cold, they're done. They for a team to shoot like that, they're hard. You can't take them in the tournament because anytime things go bad, they have no other way to score. They just go ice cold. You're done. You need a guy you can feed underneath or do something like that. That's the problem with taking those teams that just rely on the threes. They can go ice cold.
That said, they could be really hot, and Duquesne just can't keep up, and that's kind of, I think, your concern. It could be reminiscent of the game we're seeing tonight where, look, Duquesne is very capable of struggling to get to 60 in this game. That's entirely possible.
Duquesne is in the NCAA tournament for the first time in 47 years. It's unbelievable drought that has come to an end. Akron and Creighton are laying 12.5 in this game. The total is 141. Any interest in this game from a betting perspective, big man?
This is kind of a carbon copy of the game we just talked about. Creighton, another team, very dependent on the three-point shot. And I'm going to tell you right now, they better watch out, Creighton, for Akron. Freeman is a terrific big. He could give Kalkbrenner some issues. John Gross is a really good coach. They have good guard play there. I thought 12.5 was too high in this one. I would have put this more towards like 10, 10.5. Creighton is a team, again, how many times did we see them not make shots and get blown the hell out? Go back and look at the Colorado State game. Didn't make any shots, scored 48 points in that game. They look like Virginia tonight, quite honestly. These two teams, BYU and Creighton, I can't look to bet long-term in this tournament because, again, if the shots are not falling from long range, how do you score?
Also, Creighton are such a home-dominant team as well. They have a unique sort of home court advantage in Nebraska there. I always, in the Big East, I kind of always get the feeling Creighton are overrated as well. I'm going to be taking the points as well, Cam, in that one. Plus 12.5.
Pittsburgh as well. You know, could be a decent Akron crowd there.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
For the record, the Duquesne BYU game is in Omaha, Nebraska as well. Just where's the Michigan State game, actually? It's freaking confusing. There's so many of these games.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense. And to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Well, Coach James Young was with us. And at the half, he said, all right, I'm going under 47.5 points, Virginia team total. Mm-hmm. And he double-clicked it. And I said, you know what? Even with you, and I don't have a problem with your bet, Coach, but I said, I'm going to go over to 104.5 in the game just because they were already at 41 already at 41. They were at 41 at the half. Here we are right now, 65 to 38. I need one more point. And there's 2 minutes left, which it actually, oh, what a miracle. Virginia just scored. So they're at 105, 65 to 40. We actually do win the second half over 104.5 in what was one of the worst college basketball games in the history of the sport, at least by Virginia. So Big Man on Campus kicking with us right now and thinking if there's some live dogs here, potentially with Duquesne and more specifically with Akron against Creighton. What about the Beach, Long Beach, getting 20.5? Their style kind of plays right into Arizona hands, to be honest. But, 20.5 points, a lot of points in a 40-minute game. Big Man, what do you think about Long Beach State and Arizona?
To kind of try to grab offensive rebounds and get to the free throw line. Good luck getting offensive rebounds against Arizona. They're gigantic. That's not going to necessarily work. And Arizona doesn't put you on the line. I just didn't find this to be a good matchup. I get, it's a nice story. Kind of shame on that leadership at that school to fire Dan Munson when he's probably a guy you should probably keep around after this, but doesn't look like they're going to. I thought this was a bad matchup for them. It's almost like zoning Kentucky. I think Oakland is just a bad matchup for them. I thought this one was too.
Wagner's getting 24. Speaking of bad matchups, it's 24 against North Carolina. Tar Heels, the total is 133.5. What about Morehead State? Can they play with Illinois, Big Man, do you think?
I think they can. And the reason is they're going to slow this game to a screeching halt. If you look at like a South Carolina, they did that a lot this year to these up-tempo teams, the Kentuckys, the Tennessees. Illinois is another one of those teams. Illinois also has major issues defensively. I'm really surprised at how bad they've looked at times defensively. They can't seem to stop anybody. I think that the issue is, and we were presented this with Duquesne, can Morehead score, efficiently? Look, they haven't played a real good team in a long time. That's a bad conference, the OVC. It's really down. There's no more Belmont. There's no more Murray State. That's a bad conference. You also look at stepping up in competition. They had major trouble this year, did Morehead. They got to hope they can keep this game in the half court, and if they don't, it's going to be ugly.
Big Man on Campus kicking it with us. I'm just going in order here in the rotation. And up next, the Ducks and the Gamecocks. That game was unbelievable on Saturday, in which the kid on the Ducks went 12 for 12 from the field. But it was really literally one of the best college games I've ever seen a player play. What's the kid's name? Dante Natale? Or Natale Dante, whatever. Natale Dante. Yeah, Natale Dante. So he went, and you know what's crazy? He went like 11 for 11 against them earlier this year. So I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, he just seems to murder Colorado. Yeah, he's 23 at 23 against one team this year. But the way that he did it, because, some guys will go 8 for 8 in a game or something, and it's like you don't really notice. This guy was doing it in a close game with like minutes left. There was a sequence where he blocked the shot, got the rebound after, like blocked it in bounds, ran it down, and then dunked it after. I was like, holy crap, this kid is single-handedly sending Dana Altman to the NCAA tournament right now. He lit it up. Now they get South Carolina. What do you make of this game, Big Man?
Yeah, my first thought was under the total. These are two teams that I think really
132.5.
Yeah, it was 133.5. It's now getting bet down. South Carolina plays really slow. Their goal is to keep the game in the half court, really kind of shut you down in the half court defensively. And look, if I'm Oregon, I'd throw out that patented zone that Dana Altman likes. South Carolina can't shoot. I think this game kind of turns into a half court battle. And look, I think the difference could be Dante. And this isn't a random thing with him. The problem that he's had at Oregon is he can't stay on the court. He only played 20 games this season.
He has injury problems, yeah.
But you look in conference, third in field goal percentage, 13th nationally in field goal percentage, a very effective player around the rim, good player as well. Generally a lot of the time, kids this big are obviously elite shot blockers, and he is, but he's a very good offensive player as well. He could be the difference in this game, and I think he might be, actually.
Nevada and Dayton. That's one of the more competitive games in this on Thursday. Nevada, 1-point favorite, is a 10 seed over Dayton. As Big Man alluded to, Cam, and it is true, Oakland like to run and get after it. It's going to be a problem against Kentucky. The total's 163.5 there. I can see that game going over the number. McNeese State is a team. Coach James Young was with us earlier, Big Man. He's calling it upset here. He's saying McNeese State knocks off Gonzaga. Any opinion? Do you agree with that take? That McNeese? What do you think about McNeese? Can they hang with the Zags?
Listen, I love Will Wade. I've kind of pounded the drum for that group. I think he got a raw deal, and I hope he gets another job soon. That said, this is a very trendy pick. Not in my eyes. Yeah. I'm not doing it and can't do it. And here's why. I mean, can we go and look? When was the last time McNeese State played anyone in the top 100? I mean, seriously, it's been like 3 months. I mean, when was the last time they played it? Probably 4 months. Probably Thanksgiving last time they played anybody of note. Gonzaga's really good. We forget that this is a top 10 offense in America. They're not going to make mistakes. I think they riddle McNeese State at the rim. I think this looks like kind of a trendy one. My whole thing was this number opened 6. It sat at 6 and actually went up to 6.5, and the whole world was betting McNeese. Now it almost feels like they're being forced to take it down because they've gotten so much money. But I think initial offering here, this one didn't go down. You look at the difference between this line and Sanford, Kansas, which I think could actually be an upset. That number opened 9.5. It was 9.5 for 45 seconds and went to 9 and then 8.5. Got down to 6.5. That's what the line should be doing. We've all done this long enough. The fact that this line in Gonzaga McNeese hasn't moved tells me that Gonzaga is going to win by double digits.
I actually thought it was light at 6. I almost did a double take when I saw it. When I was like, really? I don't know, was that the right game? I was like, wow, people are buying in this much, and I didn't do it. But with that being stated, you remember last week, Big Man, I've been talking about Samford, and this, being one of the teams already punched their ticket last week that I did like. And now, so we know McCullough is going to be out for Kansas right now as well. The game is in Utah in the altitude. Dickinson's far from 100% as well. This is a very winnable game right now for Samford, a team that scores the fifth most points in the country at 85 points per game. And has some good players, too, a little bit of size in the paint. We talked about the Archer kid, the Australian kid. I like number 4, Marshall, as well. He was crashing the boards. Pretty nice with the putbacks, hit a couple of threes. They do have good three-point shooters. And they're going to push. They're going to push Kansas, man. I think Kansas, we all know this is a far from a vintage Kansas team. Kansas are poised for an early exit this year.
Mm-hmm. And remember, too, I think if you're McNeese.
2-0 Canucks. They just scored right now. They just scored. Vancouver up. EP 40. Patterson with the goal.
Not 3.
Yeah, sorry, Ken.
That's okay. I got the plus 2.5 there.
Now that 2.5 doesn't look as good. You're like, oh boy.
No, it looks horrible now. It's 3-0 final. Way to go, Cam. Know which team, guys, I think is going to the one, and you talked about this before. I think it's really important. NC State won their conference tournament. When you do that, you want to go. I think Texas Tech takes I think Texas Tech murders NC State. I don't know how you guys feel about this game, but I think NC State's in big trouble in this game. Like, people are going to bet them, but I like Texas Tech. I don't know what you guys think.
Well,
what do you think, Jeff?
Real quick on McNeese, Samford. I think they've got to both hope. Both these teams are weak bench-wise. I mean, if Gonzaga gets in foul trouble, they could have real trouble because they don't have many options. Neither does Kansas. I mean, that's a real issue there. And the thing about Samford, very deep, one of the deepest teams in the country. They kind of remind you of like a vintage Florida State team. They can throw out 10, 11 people. As far as
they do the hockey line shifts, big man. They're 3 guys in, 3 guys out at a time and stuff after like 3 minutes. Like, they're quick with it. Yeah.
100%. They have a bunch of kids. I think that's a really good point by Cam too. Look, a lot of these, like a Wisconsin as well. I feel like if you're Wisconsin, NC State, you wanted to play this game on Monday morning, Monday night. The fact you got to wait till Thursday or Friday if you're NC State, How much magic did they have left? It felt like they just kind of found it at the right time. I agree. Something tells me Texas Tech kind of takes it to NC State, and all the magic's gone from them.
Especially when you beat a rival, too. It's one thing to win your conference tournament. Because another thing, too, it's draining. You just played a bunch of games, right? So you played the most games out of anybody. But it's another thing if you beat a big rival like North Carolina, which that's just like it was so massive for NC State. I just think Texas Tech are a lot better than they are. Texas Tech laying 5.5 to NC State. The total is 145.5. We talked about Samford. Currently 7, 153. And this is one big man. Kansas will be able to score a bit on Samford, right? I mean, Samford's going to win this game. Yeah, exactly. Like if Samford's going to win this game, they're going to try to do it, 80 to 78 or 82 to 80 or something like that. I like the over this one, Jeff.
Yeah, not having McCullough is going to be a huge loss. I think Kansas, it's just a rough season for them injury-wise. Just never seemed to get going, and McCullough never got healthy.
All right, we haven't really gone into Friday slate yet. We'll hit Drake and Wazoo on the other side. 2-0 for the Vancouver Canucks right now. South Florida has just beaten Central Florida 83-77 in the NIT.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense. And to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Well, you think we're done for the night? We're not. UC Irvine in Utah tied at 31.
Yes.
Little NIT action right now. Late night action.
What's the
UC
total
Irvine and Eaters and Utes.
What do you got on a live total there?
156 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Total was 150. I like the under a little bit.
I bet an over 153 and a half a couple of minutes ago. Because it's pretty high paced. Irvine are in the bonus right now as well. They've been in the bonus like for the last couple of minutes, so they're going to be shooting free throws. We'll keep our eye on this game. So, what do you think, big man, of Drake and Washington State? Washington State were a big time surprise team this year. Another team that want to grind it out, slow it down. They play very good defense. What's your take on this matchup? In which this is the coach's special. Like, every coach loves this game. Like, this is fundamentals 101 between these two teams, right? Drake and Washington State, specifically Drake. And Drake are actually favorites in this game. What's your take? Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. This game, to me, all comes down to half-court execution. You know, who can just score a little bit more than the other, which is how you win basketball games. And look, to me, one team has Tucker DeVries and the other team doesn't. The thing about Drake, defensively, they're going to give you a lot of three-point opportunities. Washington doesn't really take many. They want to kind of, create in half court, get to the rim. I just don't know if that's going to happen very much. I leaned Drake. I thought this was the toughest game on the card out of both days. Just a game I like both teams. I'm a big Wazoo guy. I like their coach. But again, I like DeVries. He's a great player. I'll lean Drake.
What about that
28-6 versus 24-9. Two very good teams.
They're both fundamentally sound too. I know 138 is very, very low, but don't you see like a game in the mid six, like that could be like 66, 62 or something. Like I don't know. A total it seems high.
I wouldn't want to bet the over. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not in a hurry to bet the over.
You understand where I'm coming from? Like I know it's like when people are like 138 out, you still it's like 70 to 68. You're a winner. That's a lot.
This game. It's kind of accurate, though. Like, I was just going to say, and it's funny, without even thinking about the math, Cam. I said, this game kind of feels like one of those 69, 68 type of games. You know what I mean?
Remember last year how good Miami was offensively, how good Drake was offensively. They played in the first round. It was 63-56. Drake just couldn't make a shot. If they'd have just modicumly were better offensively, they'd have beat Miami, and we wouldn't have saw a run from that group. So, yeah, I thought the total was a bit high as well. And then again, I thought it was like first to 66, 67 wins. Washington State, if they can keep this game in the low to mid 60s, I think they're going to have a real shot. If Drake is knocking down threes like they were against Indiana State, again, that was a much different pace game, but Drake are good offensively, man. Very efficient team.
For me, and obviously it's such a toss-up, guys, but it's just my gut feel. I'm going with Washington State.
Yeah, I'm betting it's tough, Gabe. Like I have to pick Washington State because I really like that school. But Drake can pose a problem. That game, you said it. That game, imagine your life depending on it. That is a tough game. Probably going to come down to last shot.
And it's the last game of the night, so it's a real bitch for a bailout special too. People are going to be all pressured. It's be along there. You're like, oh God, I got to pick a winner here now.
Why?
No, it's true, Kev. It's the last game of the first Thursday. There's going to be so much on it, right? That people don't want to have on it. They're going to be like, I have no idea who to take. It's going to be like,
it's bookmakers like these kind of games, though. They'll get a bunch of money on both sides.
Exactly. Yeah. Good point. All right. Northwestern and FAU are the first ones up on Friday. And FAU are 2.5-point favorites in that game at 12-15. Colgate, who are an annual, seem to be here every year, at least every couple of years. Colgate get Baylor. Baylor are 13.5-point favorites, 139.5 is the total there. You think there should be some points in that game. UAB and San Diego State should be a real battle. And you have to wonder if SDSU should be laying 7.5. That game's at 145. We got Western Kentucky and Marquette at 2 Eastern on Friday. Marquette are laying 14.5. Stetson get UConn. Good luck with that. UConn are laying 26.5. 145.5 is the total. New Mexico and Clemson. I'm looking forward to this game. I'm taking New Mexico. I got New Mexico beating Clemson in this one, guys. You got Yale at Auburn after that, Texas A&M and Nebraska. I like the Aggies in that one. Let's talk. We'll talk about any one of these games you guys want, but Vermont and Duke. I got to take Vermont plus the points, big man. And I got James Madison making it to the Sweet 16, beating Wisconsin and then beating Duke. I know it's a little ambitious, but what's your take on some of these early games here?
Yeah, JMU was the only 5-12 one I liked. I think JMU is a group that could really bother Wisconsin. Wisconsin got destroyed at the rim this year defensively. They are not the same team we know about. In fact, you look at the two best rim offenses in the Big Ten, Illinois and Indiana, they pummeled Wisconsin this year, points per possession wise. And I'll tell you another thing, JMU's better than both those teams offensively. I think that's a good pick. I also want to point out two other ones I played. Automatically every year, I fade whoever's playing Colgate, or I play whoever's playing Colgate. Colgate cannot play in this tournament when they play an upper echelon Power 5 team. I kind of relate it to the MAC in college football. MAC teams very much struggle against the Power 5. It's just a much bigger, more physical opponent. Colgate just struggles in these games. They got blown out last year, got blown out a couple of years ago against Arkansas, and Baylor is really good. I think Baylor roll in this one. I laid this one immediately. I also like Northwestern FAU over. I thought both those teams could score efficiently in that game. FAU doesn't stop anybody. They were regularly assaulted defensively by opposing guards, and Boo Booey's really good. So I thought an over was worth a look there. It's only low 150s.
I agree with you in that one as far as the total is concerned. Vermont and Duke is a 7:00 Eastern game. Charleston and Bama is the track meet special. That's the highest total on the board in the tournament. 173.5. 173.5 right now. Charleston and Alabama. And I tell you what, I'm not ready to bet the under there. I think the game will go over the number. James Madison are getting 5.5 now against Wisconsin. And if I took them in a bracket to make it to the Sweet 16, I got to pull the trigger on plus 195 on the money line against the Badgers here. But I will be taking them plus the 5.5. TCU's up to 4.5 now, big man. Wow. What about this? Utah State aren't getting a lot of respect in this game. Up to 4.5. And it's funny, Cam, because I did have TCU in my bracket, and I said I think they could beat Purdue potentially in the second round game. But I don't want to lay too many points. Now you got to win by 5 points, man. Like Utah State did win the Mountain West this year. What's your take on this one, big man?
This is another really tough game to me. I don't know that it's going to matter either, because in the next round, who would they play? I think who would play the winner of this game?
It's Purdue. The winner gets the Purdue Boilermakers.
Right. Bad matchup for both these teams. I thought this is another tough one. I'd probably lean TCU just in the fact that Utah State really played no one all year. The best teams they played were in the Mountain West. They didn't play anybody all season, as far as I can remember. You also mentioned Charleston, Alabama. I think, to me, if you look at an over, maybe you just look at a team total over for Alabama. And I say that because I think what worries me about Charleston is they're good offensively, but do they have enough volume shooters to keep up, right? That could be – would it surprise you if Alabama get to 100? I mean, they did it a lot this year.
It's 91.5. Their point total's not – and how about this? Charleston's 82.5. That's pretty ambitious. Like, Alabama might smoke them and shut that down a little bit, you know?
Could that be 97-71? I could see that. I don't know, though. Here's the thing. I'm not sure I could put a total high enough in this game because, again, these two teams allow everything in transition. No one's going to put stoplights up. I guess the only hope that you have it on under is these teams just don't make anything from three. They're going to throw up a lot of shots, but – yeah, this has the makings of being the highest scoring game of the first round.
What's your final four, big man?
My final four is UConn, Carolina. Though I will say, I've thought about St. Mary's over Carolina and putting them in the final four. But on right now, it's Carolina, UConn, Marquette, Purdue.
St. Mary's?
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think a guy out who likes Grand Canyon outright, big man. Our boy, the coach.
We got a lot of Grand Canyon love. I'm not buying it. I think St. Mary's beats Grand Canyon.
If St. Mary's gets by Grand Canyon, I think the reason I like them in certain games,
they'll get Alabama after. They'll play Alabama.
And what is St. Mary's other than Virginia? They're the slowest team in this
contrast in
tournament.
styles.
Yeah, there's not going to be any transition. I think they can beat Alabama. And the reason I think they could beat Carolina, St. Mary's is a better rebounding team than Carolina, which you never see. I mean, Carolina is always an elite rebounding team. I think they can hang in that game. Randy Bennett hasn't had a team that he's been able to push through really deep in this tournament. Something tells me it's this one. I think the bracket for them could work. I think they're in the perfect spot where they want to be. They just got to get by Grand Canyon. I think that could be a tougher game for them than Alabama, weirdly enough.
And what's your championship game then? And who do you got winning? UConn, Purdue?
No. Marquette, UConn.
Marquette, UConn. Ooh, a Big East. Really, huh?
I have a two big that's
And
all Big East final.
Yeah, yes.
And Marquette lost 3 times to UConn this year.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them they didn't have Kolek in. Could you imagine a final with those 2 teams? That would be something. But
I gotta find the odds here for you here.
They got Marquette and UConn.
Yeah, I've got the exact.
I'm very high on Marquette. Very high.
So you got Marquette beating UConn in the final. This will pay a lot. I gotta find here. Keep scrolling here. Marquette.
Wow, I can't believe we have the same.
I will say too. I think a great game in the Elite Eight could be Purdue, Tennessee. That could be a really good game. Connect, Edey, 2 best players in the country. That could be a good one. Rematch.
That's all right. Here's Marquette to beat North Carolina 150-1.
Oh,
it's not
Marquette, UConn.
Man, there's a lot of them here.
There sure is.
Oh, here we go. I found it. So it's 70-1.
What's UConn to beat Marquette?
I thought it would be a little bit more. Marquette to beat UConn. It's a pretty bold pick.
It really is.
Then again, they are a 2 seed.
Yeah, that's a good point. And UConn to beat Marquette is 40-1. So that's what we were talking about earlier, big man. You take them both, right? And if you get that final, you're laughing.
I will say, I mean, taking some shots with like Purdue to beat UConn to beat Purdue, Marquette. Like I will say, I just don't know that we see a real deep sleeper in this Final Four this year. After what we saw last year, I think
we have the same Final Four, all of us, except a little bit different. I've got the North Carolina, UConn. Even though I know North Carolina are vulnerable, but I think they can survive before they lose to UConn in the Final Four. And I've got Tennessee. I got Tennessee playing Houston on the other side, with Houston beating Tennessee and then losing to UConn.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the big dance.
They're playing really, really good defense, and to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Holy, the total of Utah and UC Irvine, 168.5 right now. It just absolutely exploded, 46-40 at the break. One thing, too, guys, with the NIT, and it was easy to not forget the NIT, but, with the NCAA tournament starting, the NIT, guys, is usually a track meet. Like, coaches, they're not yelling at anybody anymore. This is, listen, let's have some fun, bomb away, let's see what happens, right? Once you get into the Final Four of the NIT, it might tighten up a little bit, but most of these games are for fun. They're like bowl games or something. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like they want to win, but at the same point in time, they just sort of let it fly a lot more. The pressure's off of their conference and all that. So it's 168.5 right now. Cam, any baseball picks, NHL picks, Dodgers and Padres in the morning and or NHL on the way out in game here right now?
I was going to ask you just about the total in the Dodger game, because I think we can take the Dodgers and, you know what I mean, and parlay it. It's plus 165, basically, Morency. Right? Is 9 too high with this pitching matchup with Glass now looking good and it
my
being
gut
early
says
in
it
the
goes
season?
under.
I
My
agree
gut
with you.
says
I'm going
it
to
goes
parlay
under.
the Dodgers and the under to plus 160. One is plus 168. Hockey in game, I've already done my damage. I'm living and dying with the Sabres plus 2.5. And you know what? Give me the Tampa Bay Lightning again. I'm already on them at plus money. Even money against the Vegas Golden Knights right now. Tampa Bay to get it done and pull off a road win against Vegas. The other games I'm not interested in. I'm losing on Chicago plus 1.5. That's gone down the sewer. So I'm done.
Yeah, the Kings exploded for a quick 3 goals. The Montreal Canadiens and the Edmonton Oilers went to overtime. The Oilers survive, so the parlay players survive and stay alive.
So lucky.
Big man, you waking up at 6 a.m. for LA and San Diego?
No, he's not.
No.
No.
But you would watch if it was at like 10 in the morning or a normal time or something, right?
Yeah, if it was at a normal time, absolutely. That said, tomorrow, Poland is going to crush Estonia in Euro qualifying. Poland, baby.
Poland's good.
Tomorrow, Cam, we'll talk some curling. It's the World Curling Championship. They have lines up. I bet Canada.
I was watching a little today. Canada's hot, undefeated.